everybody, and welcome to this session. It's 3-5, so we will start. Others will join. So it's nice that all of you are joining. And this session definitely will be on the FICO navigation for both auditors and users. And I only pray there is a huge rains in Chennai. So I don't think we lose the net or whatever it is. I believe that it doesn't happen. And let us get down to that. And last week, we really saw many of those things. And there were some requests expressed by members also that they will need some more explanation on whatever has been done last week. So before I start on the subject, Mr. Praveen Kumar Jha also will join. So he is expected at any time. And so once he joins, he will also be able to explain to us. And based on the feedback which I got from many people, so I thought that we will also start discussing those points initially. And then we will proceed with today's this one. That was the idea. So I just wanted to have feedback of last week from any one of you. It will be really good because we will have a recap of last week. As I had explained, some people wanted slightly more explanation on the last week things, and then we welcome Sri Mugli Prasad Sam sir. He has joined today, and we have Mr. Gopal Krishnan also. Just give me a second because there is too much of a noise because of the rain. I'll just close the windows and I'll join you back. Friends, I believe the sound must be slightly reduced, the outside sound. I believe so. Okay. Last week there were some points which was requested by members that we should cover this. So something what is on R1, R2, R3, and what is the difference, and what is S4 HANA, then fiscal year, what is that, posting period, special period, and T codes and other things. And there was a special request as to the challenges in implementation and all. So I will start off from where we left, and then we will have a small this one on that subject. Then we will get on to today's this one. Is that clear, or anybody needs anything specific to be again covered? Then once Mr. Praveen comes in, then we will also take up those things. Anybody wants to have any opening remarks or words, please? Anyone? We'll be most welcome. And
Morning,
this,
sir.
yes, please.
Good evening.
Yeah, good
So,
evening. Good evening.
I am thankful that I am joining for the first time today.
Yes, sir.
Shurana, and
Okay, sir.
just we are yet to see this implementation of SAP. I am
Okay,
actually
sir.
calling from Qatar today. Today I have
Okay,
joined
sir.
from Qatar.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much,
so
sir.
very
Thank
nice to join
thank
your this.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, if
thank
you can just briefly cover the initial points in a just touchy way. Also,
yeah, I'll be doing that, sir. Certainly,
yeah.
I'll be doing. Okay.
Thank
So I will get on to the recap of what was being done last week. So tell me once my screen is visible to all of you, please. Is the screen visible to everyone? Yeah. Okay. See, there were questions asked. What is R1, R2, R3? What is the SAP architecture? These kind of questions were being asked when I talked to people after the presentation and the discussions last week. I was taking a feedback from members. Now, SAP is, I think, Mr. Praveen Kumar Jha has joined, the other resource person who is an FICO expert. I will tell more about him. There are a lot of good things about him to tell today specifically. Okay, I'll do that. Mr. Praveen, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry for joining
No,
delay.
no
Little bit
issue. Anyway, I'll just introduce Mr. Praveen. Mr. Praveen is very happily he is also a cost and management accountant. Okay, and he is an today only he got his because for so many years he has been working, and then he was not really worried about the certification because he was the one who was who was thinking of only the skills and knowledge which he has got in abundance, and he is arguably one of the best FI and also CO consultant of the country, as I understand, and I have worked with him 13 years back. I have been working and all. So he's first of all a cost and management accountant like us, and he is also today he appeared for this certification because I think that was a some mandatory request from the new organization where he has joined. So he has got that certificate today. I think we should congratulate Mr. Praveen Jha for that. And then
Thank
he will
you.
be appearing for the CO certification in the next week. So this is about Praveen. And last week Praveen had some issues with his mic. I don't think this week he's going to have that kind of an issue. So we welcome you, Mr. Praveen. Praveen, I'll be
Thank you.
doing a recap of last week based on the request, and as I told you earlier also. So
Yes, sure.
SAP architecture, if you really look at it, long back, somewhere in the late 90s, we can say, somewhere around 95, 96, 97, or whatever is the period, or 87, in fact. Why 97? 87, 80, 87, we had almost sort of a one-tier configuration. That means you had the database as well as your application and the screen, your front end, everything within one particular you can say a desktop. If you remember, all of you, long back I'm talking 80,
Yeah, yeah.
87. Yeah. So
That one is called as R3
nahi,
in SAP
initial.
term.
Yeah, that is
In
true.
SAP, yeah, in
Yeah,
SAP it
okay,
is called
okay.
as R2 because server was separate and then
Yeah,
user are accessing
no,
and that
yeah,
server.
true. This was in fact R1 when we have initially started. Then
Yeah,
came R2
yes,
where we had some sort of a database and application process separately, and we had a presentation process in another terminals called dumb terminals or whatever it is. This is called we used to call it as R2. Then came this R3 where you have got a database processes and the application process and the front end what we were using. So this is how the R1, R2, R3 had come. And in a nutshell, if you really look at all of them, it will be like this. We had a one-tier configuration first, then we came into a two-tier configuration, then we came into a three-tier configuration where we had a database process and in between an application process, which Mr. Praveen was explaining. So the idea between the R2 and R3 is in R3 we have got an application layer in between so that the original database is not unnecessarily disturbed and all. That is how we saw this. And now we are now moving into S4 HANA. So when we go to S4 HANA, you can just have a look at it. This is how the S4 HANA, we will be discussing further on this subject a little later once Mr. Jha takes over. And this is how the S4 HANA architecture is there. And S4 HANA, he was explaining last week. We will see this also in the weeks coming. We have got a Fury app. That means this is a one particular thing which was not there earlier. So Fury app, we can even work on the mobile. And I have been working on NMDC. We have developed a lot of apps on the Fury also. And it is completely mobile where you, from your mobile only, you can enter data, you can capture data from the railway siding, or when the wagons are entering, you can take there is some post called number taken. They take the numbers of the wagons and all those things can be done through a Fury. All the safety, security aspects can be done. And the from the Fury app in your mobile only, you can log in for your any shutdown maintenance. And there are hundreds of things which we will be able to do. And some of the reports of FICO also we will be able to see in Fury. as we progress, we will be able to see. So, and HANA being an in-memory, that is what it was told. So it becomes a faster platform to work with if you look at it. So we will not get into too much of a technology because this point came up, what is meant by R1, what is meant by R2, what is meant by R3. So I just thought I will explain this before we get on to the subject. If anyone has any doubts on this, we will concentrate up to this. If anyone has any doubt, I think why it is called R1, R2, R3 is now amply made clear. So we had only a one tier configuration, two tier configuration, and three tier configurations we have now in the R3, and then with the in-memory and all, we have come to S4HANA. And SAP is now slowly weaning away your R3 ECC platform and all. From 2025, Jaji, you please correct me. From 2025, they will only support S4HANA. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah. It is 25 or 27. That may be increased by SAP, may be changed by later on.
Maybe.
It depends upon the
all new people, they are only requesting them that you should go for S4HANA only. Don't go for ECC. So this is how it is. And there was some questions on the fiscal year and the posting period and all, which and all we will cover definitely as we progress. But then fiscal year, all of us must be knowing. And then the posting period also, the period within a particular fiscal year where we are doing the data entry or where we are capturing the data. And the special period, he was explaining about the 13th month, 14th month, 15th month, 16th month and all. If we ideally see when we close accounts in the month of March, I'm talking of the Indian conditions, when we are closing the accounts on say March, so we give a special period of 4 months. That means for us to close the accounts till July. That means April, May, June, July, we get a 4 months to do that. So we have a special period for that. So that is all that number 4, what he was explaining, 3 or 4. So when we give in the configuration, that means we will allow for the month of March, we will be able to make posting till July. That is what he was telling. And as we proceed, we will have a lot of this prior period allowance for posting and all, we will discuss as we go. And today, yes, on that day, we saw the organization structure also. So in case if I will just briefly go through that org structure also for others who are joined today and who needed this one also. So this is how the organization structure works. There will be a client and legal accounting. This is as per the statute, whatever is the legal accounting he has to see. You can call almost this portion as the FI, and I mean, it is not exactly what I am telling, but in a crude way, you can say this portion should be FI. This we can call it on the controlling portion. It may not be exactly that way, but then you will. That's why we have put in 2 different colors. Legal accounting, you will have different entity like company 1, company 2, company 3. Whereas in operating concern, all of them can be put together one. And controlling area could be 1 and 2, and then each controlling area can have a profit center and they can be combined. So if we take an example of that, I will go to the organization where I had worked earlier, SAIL. SAIL had a SAIL India. We will talk about SAIL India. I'm not getting into the SAIL global. Like Tata has got a very global footprint. SAIL has got footprints, all those things. So when it comes to SAIL within India, legal accounting, SAIL India, we have Bhilai Steel Plant, Rourkela Steel Plant, Durgapur Steel Plant. Then within Bhilai Steel Plant, I have Plant 1, Plant 2 and all. Then when it comes to management accounting, it is operating concern of SAIL as a whole within the country. Then I will have 1 controlling area, 2 controlling area, 3 controlling area. There can be a mixture of this. And if you still want only within one particular organization, that means when we are talking of, let's say Durgapur, when we go only to Durgapur, then the thing will look like this. Within Durgapur, there will be 1 legal only. That is a company code only. We call it as we had given company code 300. Then we had a management in accounting, operating concern. Then your controlling area, then profit center 1, we can say raw material handling plant, then the blast furnace, then the steel melting shop, and on and on. I have not gone further down, only for an examples we have given. So this is of the organization structure also he was explaining in the last week. And as we proceed, we will be seeing what is meant by a T code and all. So he will also explain. I will explain in a brief. T code is stands for the transaction code, because we will be talking about this from today and next week. It's an you can say an SAP magic word for calling the standard or a developed or custom made program. Okay, so that is how we call it as a T code. Like in a very simple way, though it is not the right example. Where in Excel and all, we say some product, we look up and all. These are all the functions we call. So like that, here also the T codes could be a function or a program by which a name by which we call the program. Like if you want to see some reports, you have a T code for that. If the T code is a standard T code, then it is different. If it is a custom made or if it is a developed T code, then a normal convention is it will start with Z or Y. Y, I have not seen many people using. Z people use. Okay, this is one point which we will be discussing. And there was a question on what are all the challenges in implementation. The majority of the challenges based on what we have done and based on others' experience are, you can say it's a change management process. With respect to the process also, there are change management which becomes very difficult unless the top management gives you full support and we are able to convince people, especially if we already have if it is a brownfield. We discussed what is brownfield and greenfield last week. So especially if it is a brownfield, then change management becomes very difficult because already a legacy system is working. So change management is one of the main thing, and then migration of data. Then we have cutover strategies, how we should send the data from here, how many days we will have a blackout period and all. Then work breakdown structure and service entry sheets by users, which we will discuss as we proceed for creation of liabilities by the user departments. And as I told you, yeah, very top management support. So these are all the things which we covered last week. In a nutshell, I try to recap everything so that we have a continuity for even people who wouldn't have joined last week. So I will stop the share screening now. Now, 2-3 things we should remember as we proceed. One is what we should do as an auditor or as an user or as a consultant. We will discuss that also. There are some points. And number 2 is what are we expected to learn and then do. So that portion will be covered by Mr. Praveen. So he will be now talking about the screens, how do they appear, what kind of a navigation we have to do and all. And then in between, I will be able to show the actual SAP screens, and then he will be navigating through me. Mr. Praveen, I was not able to send you all those details because I was held up in another meeting till about 3 o'clock. So once this is over, I'll send you. Okay. So
Okay,
that
no problem.
next week onwards, even on IDES, you will be able to do. I just finished one more meeting at 3 o'clock. That is fine. And we should all know when we are going to be the user in a new company when you join, or when you are going to be auditor when you are getting in. So this is from our viewpoint and from many of the auditors who have audited our accounts and all. So we should have a definite idea about the blueprint of the organization when they went for the implementation. So it is called a business process blueprint. So somebody calls it as a business blueprint BP, somebody calls it as BPP and all, whatever is the term. So this only tells us as to how the system is supposed to behave and what are all the things that the system is supposed to do and what are all the reports it is supposed to do, what is the periodicity, what is the posting, what is the special period, what is your prior period, how many periods are allowed and all. So this, as persons, as professional, when we enter into an organization, we should definitely get this Bible, go through it, understand before we start our job. This is my request to all of you. And once we are thorough with the blueprint, then we should definitely have a check. If you are an auditor, check. I'm talking of even internal audit. if you are checking, then you should know what is happening with the blueprint and what is actually happening in the organization. This also is to do. And one more thing, installation will work properly only if they have a more percentage of standardization rather than the development. So we will have to have a look at that also, that we should do. And we have myself and Mr. Praveen, we were discussing the points I discussed with 3-4 participants of last week and some people whom I know also. We have come out with some of the points that we will be discussing. As we proceed, we will certainly have all those points. And I'm certain that only with this today, with today only, it may not be possible to complete. Maybe it will go for a week or maybe one more week. I request all of you to stay with us and then be with us for this journey. And one more thing, there are people who are quite knowledgeable and an expert on SAP. So I'm not getting into the names. So we are, at least I am not an expert on SAP fully. So I'm only facilitating on a larger area. And we have got an expert, Mr. Praveen, and other experts may please correct in case we are going wrong anywhere, and then may please give additional input so that all the participants are benefited by this. So thank you very much for with this introductory discussion. I am now requesting Mr. Praveen to take over. Mr. Praveen, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir.